what's in there? Medicaid, health care for the poor, welfare, Medicare, health care for the elderly, Social Security. All of that is under mandatory spending. And so if you, for instance, if you're 65, you've paid in enough good quarters in Social Security, then you go in there and you get your check. And there's nothing anybody can do to stop it. Well, the newest entitlement program is called Obamacare. It is a mandatory system of open-ended, infinite amount of spending. And unless you reform it or repeal it, it's going to end in the deficit or debt. So why can't we stop it? Well, we don't have to be, it doesn't have to be funded year to year. We don't have, if we do nothing, Obamacare goes on. It is a tax, but it's already been passed. It was passed when Democrats had a supermajority. And so until we change it, it goes on. It doesn't have to be reauthorized. The spending does not have to be reauthorized. It's endless. So the only thing we can do, there's only two things we can do in funding. There is a small little ribbon of discretionary funding, budgetary funding, but it's only for implementation. And we could end that. The problem is they could exchange money someplace else. They could play, money is fungible, so you could move it from another account. They could achieve that. So that's not really a solution. The only way you can defund Obamacare is to stop in legislation the funding of the mandatory spending portion. And again, that's a do or die kind of thing. That's a showdown at the high noon at the OK Corral. That's a situation where you have a stare down between Congress and the president. And that's the reason why you hear that, hey, that could end up being a government shutdown.
Which is how they scare people with the Social Security checks and all that sort of thing, right? Because that's the
If government shuts down, it means that some people will not get their checks. It could be Social Security, it could be an active duty military. And so that carries with it a very high potential political price to pay if you are the group, whether it's the president or Congress, that is framed as the one who brought about cessation. Hey, I'm not getting my check in the mail. It's your fault. So you see, that's the reason why politicians are not very enthused about going that direction.
So you have to shut down the whole program.
It doesn't just shut down government, it shuts down your income from all these
You
entitlements.
can't keep everything else down.
Your health care bills don't get paid, all of those things. And my personal opinion is that if we went to the president with a defunding bill that said, sir, we're not going to raise the debt ceiling or agree to a continuing resolution to spend money for the next fiscal year unless you go along with some defunding Obamacare. I don't think he would do that, but what I think he would do is say, I won't defund it, but I will delay it for a year. Because I think he secretly wants to do that. If I were him, I would. Because this thing is a mess in the background. And to me, I think that would be a great political move on his point, because then he could blame us for delaying it, but yet he gets the benefit of being delayed and not having to pay the political price for all the awful stuff that's going to happen over the next year in the chaos. There's supposed to be exchanges in every state, right? Well, Louisiana's not going to do that. You know who's going to run the exchange or so-called exchange in Louisiana? It's going to be Blue Cross. It's going to be a kind of a make-believe exchange. We're going to let through this thing if it gets implemented.
And then they get back out.
Right. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Are you willing to shut down the government when you go back? Is that going to be your vote?
I'm willing to shut down Obamacare.
Okay, so you're
And
willing.
if the president decides to shut down government, that'll be the president's
No, that
decision.
will be on you if you all vote to shut it down,
Well,
just to Obama.
I don't agree with that.
Let me tell you, you said that the things that was in the Affordable Healthcare Act were not true.
The claims that
The claims, okay, I can attest to going to the doctor on an annual basis with mammograms, with regular yearly exams, and I don't have to pay that copay that I've been paying. I have Blue Cross. So when I go, since 10, when it was voted on and everything, we're not having to pay for mammograms. We're not having to pay that anymore.
I never said that mammograms wouldn't be paid
But I'm
for.
saying,
Mammograms are already paid for.
But I'm
That's before
saying-
Obama.
okay, but I've always had to go in and do my copay to see that doctor, to get that, and it was paid. But now we do not have to pay the copay part of that.
And again, I never
So
said.
that part is true.
But again, I never said, that's not a major claim that was made by the president. And it really is, I mean, okay, you don't have to make a co-payment for that one piece of thing. The point is that somebody's gonna have to pay for that. And what it's gonna do is, it's gonna make somebody else have to pay more while you get a break on your
Well,
co-pay.
we're already paying more with healthcare. When I go to the hospital, I'm paying my bill, part of that is for those who do not have healthcare.
But under Obamacare, we're already seeing increases that are anywhere from 30 to 300% increases. So people all over the country, in preparation for Obamacare, because of the mandates and the complications and all the bureaucracy, we're seeing the rates skyrocket. In fact, I'll ask, in the last 6 months to a year, who here has seen, if you have private insurance, who here has seen increases in your premiums? And co-pays, okay? So we're getting this all across the country. So while somebody may not have to pay a $10 copay, we're seeing people whose insurance rates are going to go from anywhere from $2,000 a year to $5,000 a year. So my point is that the major claims made, number one, would your insurance costs go down? Will everybody's insurance costs, or even most people, go down? No. It's going up major for most everybody. Number two, will you get to keep your doctors? Doctors are closing their practices, going to work for other people. It's majorly shutting down practices across the country. Doctors are not associated with some of the health plans that are going to be involved with Obamacare. Will you be able to keep your insurance? We're seeing many of the large insurers like Anthem and other things in other states, United Health, who are getting out of the markets completely. So people are losing that insurance and having to seek insurance elsewhere. So all the major, really positive claims that have been made have not been forthcoming. Yes.
Did the members expect Chief Justice Roberts to vote for Obamacare? Just many comments.
Well, from the standpoint, his question is, did Republicans expect the Chief Justice to vote as one of the 9 justices?
Yes, 5-4 vote.
We figured it'd be a 5-4 vote. The question was which one? And we thought that it would be 5-4, saying that it's unconstitutional under the 10th Amendment, the Commerce Clause. And in fact, he agreed that it was not constitutional under the Commerce Clause. But what he did do, which was very surprising, no one expected it. Even those who supported Obamacare never made the claim that it was a tax. They just claimed it was a penalty. Well, the truth is, it is a tax, at least according to the Chief Justice, because he twisted the Constitution in a pretzel to make it look like that it was constitutional. And so, yeah, we disagree with him. We think that he should have looked at it in plain language, the 4 corners of the document, and said it was claimed to be constitutional because of the 10th Amendment, and I don't believe it meets that standard, and therefore it's unconstitutional. But there's another constitutional issue that apparently justices didn't even think about. And that is, remember, the origination clause, all spending and taxes must begin in the House. Well, the bill that passed under Obamacare came from the Senate. They never looked at that question, and that's in the courts, working its way through the courts now. It could be struck down under the origination clause. But, folks, these are all kind of weedy sort of things. The bottom line is it a good law or not? And apparently the American public thinks it's a bad law, and it's going to get us in deeper and deeper trouble. And so rather than decide, split a hair here and there and decide whether it's constitutional, which is important nonetheless, but we just have to decide as a society, is this good for our society? Yes, sir.
If I could change the subject for a moment and talk about a local issue and then a national policy. The interstate system was set up for national defense to be able to move troops in case of an invasion, and also for commerce. And I've noticed that in other parts of the country where the interstates pass through large cities like Shreveport, they have service roads that run parallel to the interstates, and those service roads are generally packed with businesses set up along that interstate corridor. We don't have that to any great extent here in Shreveport where the interstates pass through. And with the potential for the I-49, last segments of I-49 to be considered to pass through the city of Shreveport, I'm hoping that we can have a discussion and potentially studies done regarding a route through the city for I-49 and to have service roads to bring businesses into an area that's largely blighted and losing population. And then the other, on the national topic, is I've been reading and listening to the radio that American service people that are risking their lives are not allowed to wear their uniforms to attend church. We're a diverse country with lots of denominations and faiths, and that the chaplains for denominational Christians are not allowed to pray in Jesus' name at the end of their prayer. So I think that's a despicable situation where Americans can't pray to God through the Son of God, as is their tradition. And I want to know what the Republicans or the House as a body can do to stop that, so that the freedoms can be restored to service people that have those faiths.
Okay, I'll take that one first, and if I forget, remind me of the second. I have to do analysis. It is true, of course, I don't think there's a settled policy with DOD yet, but it is true that upon request, active duty members are allowed to march in uniform, full uniform, in gay pride parades. But for similar religious ceremonies are not allowed to wear their uniforms. And that makes no sense to me. Again, under the First Amendment, if it's acceptable and proper in gay pride parade, I would think it would be acceptable in any kind of religious ceremony.
What do we do about it?
Well, I'll get to that.
Well, and then we've got jihadists killing our servicemen at Fort Hood, and they continue to receive their pay 4 years after the incident. Yet
And wear the uniform.
they
All right,
yet they
let's
can't.
let's stay on religious liberty. Let's not jump around too much. And so, there's two things simultaneously happening in the Department of Defense right now that I'm working on personally. One is that, and you're right, we do have reports, and in fact, if you go to